Namo Bhagavate Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. We wanted to continue with the summary of the Bhagavad Gita. We tried to summarize 9 chapters last week. And today I'm hoping that we will summarize the remaining 9 chapters. So 18 chapters in total in the Bhagavad Gita. And we went through the introduction, then we went through the summary of the whole Bhagavad Gita. Then we went through chapter 3, Karma Yoga, chapter 4, Dhyana Yoga, chapter 5, Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. Then chapter 6 was Dhyana Yoga. Chapter 7 is knowledge of the absolute, where Krishna starts to describe his personality, his status, the nature of the absolute. Then attaining the supreme, how to reach Krishna. And then chapter 9, where we finished, was the most confidential knowledge. Now we want to look at chapter 10, where he describes the opulence of the absolute. People complain that they cannot see God at work. And therefore, because they can't see, that he is not manifest in person before their eyes, and that they have no direct experience of his existence. Show me God, the skeptics will demand. Otherwise, I will not believe in him. Right? This is the general reaction from those who are atheistic, don't want to believe in God. I can't see him, so he doesn't exist. So my argument is always, okay, that means air does not exist. You can't see air. It doesn't exist, right? But we know it exists because we're living, we're breathing. Just because you can't see an object doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So, and how do we assume the existence of God? Because of the order in this world, the great order. Behind every organization, there has to be a hand. The organization of the universe is so vast that there is a hand behind it. A big bang could not possibly result in such incredible order. Anyway, that's we've sort of covered that in previous sessions. So Krishna explains in this chapter 10 how the spiritualist can simultaneously perceive God as the source of the creation and also see God within the creation. So now this counteracts the argument, I can't see God, so I don't believe in him. Krishna is identifying where he can be seen. However, this requires more than an intellectual understanding. It actually calls for transformation of one's consciousness and also revelation from within. So the themes of this chapter are, Krishna says to Arjuna, because you are my friend, I'm going to explain my nature further to you. So if we're inimical to the Lord, he's not going to reveal anything. If we are friendly towards the Lord, open to him, then he'll open up to us. And text 8 to 11, these 4 verses are the essence of the whole Bhagavad Gita. These 4 verses are so important because he describes himself, he describes his devotee. It's just amazing verses. He describes how to get to him. And explain that the Lord is the source of everything, how his devotees interact with him, how he reveals himself to his devotees, destroying their ignorance. Powerful verses, these are powerful verses. Arjuna then accepts Krishna as the supreme, as do so many other great sages. Oh, big deal if Arjuna accepts Krishna, he's his friend anyway. But then Arjuna says, not just I, all the great sages accept you as the supreme. And then he wanted to know more about the Lord's opulence. And I wanted to share something with you. I really love these sets of slides. So if you don't mind indulging me, I will just open up a different file. Okay. And Krishna now describes many places where he can be identified. This is so amazing. Okay. Okay, got there. So from text 20 onwards, he says, I am the super soul. Let me just make sure. Yeah. Seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. 21, he says, of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of lights, I am the radiant sun. Of the Maruts, I am Marichi, controlling deity of wind. Among stars, I am the moon. Of the demigods, I am Indra, the king of heaven. Of the Vedas, I am the Samaved. Of the senses, I am the mind. In living beings, I am the living force, consciousness. Of all Rudras, I am Lord Shiva. Of Yakshas and Rakshasas, I am the Lord of wealth, Kuber. Of the Vasus, I am fire, Agni. Of mountains, I am Meru. So these are all different places where he can be found. Of priests, O Arjuna, know me to be the chief, Brahaspati. Of generals, I am Kartikeya. Of bodies of water, I am the ocean. Of sacrifice, I am chanting of the holy names, Japa. Of immovable things, I am the Himalayas. Of vibrations, I am the transcendental Om. Of the great sages, I am Brigu. Among perfected beings, I am the sage Kapil. Of Gandharvas, I am Chitraratha. Of the sages among the demigods, I am Narad. Of all trees, I am the banyan tree. Among men, I am the monarch. Of lordly elephants, I am Aivarta. Of horses, know me to be Uchaishvara, produced during the churning of the ocean of nectar. Of weapons, I am Thunderbolt. Among cows, I am the Surabhi. Of causes for procreation, I am Kandarpa, the god of love. Of serpents, I am Vasuki. Of many hooded Nagas, I am Ananta. Among the aquatics, I am the demigod Varun. Of departed ancestors, I am Aryan. Among the dispensers of law, I am Yama, the lord of death. Among subduers, I am time. Among beasts, I am lion. Among the Daitya demons, I am the devoted Prahlad. Among the birds, I am Garud. Of purifiers, I am the mind. Of wielders of weapons, I am Ram. Of fishes, I am the shark. Of flowing rivers, I am Ganga. Among logicians, I am the conclusive truth. Of all sciences, I am the spiritual science of the self. Of creations, I am the beginning, the middle, the end, and also the middle, O Arjuna. Among compound words, I am the dual compound, Ramakrishna. Of letters, I am the letter A. I am an inexhaustible time. Of creators, I am Brahma. I am the generating principle of all that yet to be. I am all enduring death. Among women, I am fame, fortune, fine speech, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience. Of poetry, I am Gayatri. Of months, I am Margshirha, November, December. Of seasons, I am the flower-bearing spring. Of the hymns, I am the Samved. Of hymns in the Samved, I am the Brihat Sama. I am the gambling of cheats. Of the splendid, I am the splendor. I am victory. I am the strength of the strong. I am adventure. Of Pandavas, I am Arjun. Of the sages, I am Vyas. Among thinkers, I am Ushana. Of the descendants of Vrishni, I am Vasudeva. Among all means of suppressing lawlessness, I am punishment. Of those who seek victory, I am morality. Of secret things, I am silence. Of the wise, I am the wisdom. I am the generating seed of all existence. There is no being, moving or non-moving, that can exist without me. So this is a description, about 20 verses. He describes where he can be found in this world. So very interesting indeed. When he says, I am Arjuna, it's the bhakti, the strength of Arjuna that is Krishna. It's not that Arjuna is Krishna. So that's the important thing to understand. So let me just go back to everyone. And then he also says right at the end, what use of all this knowledge? By simple fragment of my energy, I control the whole universe, whole world. So he's just explaining his incredible potency. Okay, so let's go back. So chapter 11, universal form. The Sanskrit word rupa means form. One of the biggest theological debates is whether God has a personal or an impersonal form, whether he's just light, he doesn't have a personality, or does he have a personality? Some argue that accepting a personal form of God amounts to projecting our qualities onto him and limiting him, right? But actually, that's not the case. Krishna, however, confirms in numerous passages of the Bhagavad Gita that he manifests in many ways, impersonally and personally, personality-wise. He also categorically states that the two-handed form is the original form. So his two-handed form with the flute is his original form. And the basis, and it's also the basis of the impersonal. In this chapter, after Krishna displays his Vishwarup, the universal form, he reverts back to his two-handed form, explaining the significance of this form. So he shows him, Arjuna, the universal form. Arjuna actually asks him to see it. He requests to see the form. Why? Because he wanted to make sure in the future, if somebody claims to be God, they can show their universal form. So Krishna shows him the universal form. Arjuna becomes bewildered by seeing it, because he's seeing all the soldiers in the battlefield being crushed by this universal form. So it's really bewildering. He's shocked. Krishna explains that Arjuna simply has to act as his instrument. And Arjuna, he asked for forgiveness. I didn't realize you were so amazing. We used to sit on the same bed. Sometimes we eat from the same plate. And I used to joke with you, my dear Lord, please forgive me. Then Krishna, Arjuna then asks him, please go back to your two-handed form. First, he goes back to his, takes his Vishnu form, and then he comes back to his original two-handed form, stating that this can be only seen by pure devotional service. Chapter 12 is probably in most people's books the favorite chapter. My favorite chapter, I think, is chapter 1, because it's got so much instruction in it. But chapter 12 is one of the shortest chapters, but it contains probably the wisdom that will take us back to the spiritual world. It's extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary chapter. It's entitled Devotional Service. It's only got 20 verses. And these verses are quite easy to remember as well. This chapter discusses the path of devotion, the stages one may undergo to achieve it, the qualities of the devotee who perfects it. We gain insight into the more relishable aspects of God's personality and the disposition of the devotee who is fully in love with him. So the themes are as follows. Following on from seeing his universal form, Arjuna asks Krishna whether it's better to worship his personal or impersonal form. Arjuna answers, Krishna answers Arjuna very clearly, it is better to worship the personal form. He says the impersonal form is so difficult, that path is so difficult for those who are embodied. And then this is where Krishna shows his real compassion. He says to Arjuna, right, just fix your mind on me. And in meditation, you'll reach me. He says, I can see you doubt me. Okay, if you can't fix on your mind on me, then follow the rules and regulations of bhakti yoga. You can't do that. Then work for me. You can't even work for me. Then offer the fruits of your labor to me. You can't even do that. Okay, just meditate then. Do some meditation. Do some chanting of the holy names. Even that's difficult. Okay, just gain some knowledge about me. So Krishna lowers the bar. He's showing his true nature as our well-wisher, as our supreme father, by being so flexible. He understands we are a little naughty. He's willing to become, he's willing to be flexible with us. And then finally, Krishna also describes the qualities which endear him to the devotee. What are the qualities that the Lord really likes? And the one quality that stands out, because he says it 4 times in these 8 verses, is the quality of being steady in happiness or in distress. Being steady, not being overly worried or unhappy during the time of difficult times, and not being too happy in good times, understanding that this life, this world is very temporary. So this is a very important point. Anyway, chapter 13 is Arjuna asks a whole series of questions. And the name of the chapter is Nature, Enjoy and Consciousness. And this is the beginning of the final 6 chapters, which focuses on Gyan, transcendental wisdom, which helps one become detached from materialistic aspirations and simultaneously attaches one to Krishna. Chapter 13 covers topics previously discussed, but explores them in a more analytical way. Thus, wise readers can take advantage of the logical presentation made by Krishna to strengthen their conviction and deepen their understanding. So Arjuna asked Krishna to define 6 subjects: Prakriti, material nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, Kshatriya, Kshetra, the body, the field of activity, Kshetra Gyan, the knower of the body, Jnanam, knowledge in the process of knowledge, Gyanam, which is the object of knowledge. And Krishna describes what is knowledge. He describes the nature of the Lord, the soul, sorry. He describes material nature and the soul's interaction with this material nature. Quite a challenging chapter from a philosophical point of view. It's very philosophical, but it's a very good chapter to understand deeper the nature of our nature, Krishna's nature. Chapter 14 is a classic, and I think we've been through it because it focuses on the 3 modes of material nature. And I remember Pari did a wonderful presentation asking, I think it was 15 or 20 questions of how we behave in certain situations. And that sort of helps us determine which particular mode we're in. These 3 modes, goodness, passion, ignorance, permeate everything we see, hear, taste, smell, touch, and smell. Our lifestyle, attitudes, behaviors fall under these 3 modes. Through closer analysis, we can perceive how people are functioning in this world with a mistaken belief of free will, when in actuality, they are impelled to act according to these influences. So actually, we think we got free will, but actually we're acting according to which mode we're in. Therefore, unless one is able to transcend these 3 modes, they act to perpetually trap one in this material world. Even the mode of goodness ain't good enough. Then the themes are, what are the 3 modes? How do they work? What are the attributes of the one who is in those 3 modes? And how to get over these 3 modes? This is a very practical chapter. And I remember my spiritual master used to tell me, if you understand this chapter, then you'll be able to get out of this world of birth, death, old age, and disease. So, chapter 15, the yoga of the Supreme Person. This is a chapter which we recite every single day during the month of Purushottam Mas. And it's a fascinating chapter. The ultimate purpose of Vedic knowledge is to, the name of the chapter is the yoga of the Supreme Person. The ultimate purpose of Vedic knowledge is to detach oneself from entanglement of material world. This is our biggest problem. We're attached to this world. We're attached to our chips and beans, or we're attached to our phone. We're attached to our family, our cars, our houses, so many attachments. So we're going to stay in this world. But this chapter helps us understand that Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead. One who understands Krishna as supreme identity surrenders to him and engages in bhakti yoga. Krishna uses a wonderful analogy to create detachment within the spiritualist and fuel his desire to re-enter his real home in the spiritual realm. Imagine someone checks into their holiday hotel room and then begins painting the walls, buying new furniture, refitting the bathroom, hanging up family pictures. Sounds ludicrous. You don't make arrangements for long-term comfort in a temporary residence. And I'm sure devotees will remember, if you watch this Mr. Bean movie, or not movie, a little sketch on it, where he moves into a hotel room and he's hammering nails, putting pictures up, and so many other things. This world is not our permanent place, it's our temporary place. And we're looking to make it our long-term residence, but it's not. We're going to change. This world is likened to a hotel room within which people make complicated plans for security and enjoyment. The themes, wonderful chapter, this one. The material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So it's an opposite. It's like Krishna explained, it's a banyan tree, which the roots go upwards and the branches go downwards. It's exact opposite reflection to the spiritual world. Krishna then gives a glimpse into his world. Krishna also explains how he maintains us at every single level, even the most smallest, insignificant level, he maintains us. For example, the air we breathe, he provides the digestive power to digest our food. We don't even think about it. We just eat and then later on go to sleep, and suddenly in the morning, everything's digested and then the rubbish comes out. But there's a science to it. And Krishna is behind that science. Krishna explains the different living entities, like those who are stuck in this world, those who are eternally liberated. So very interesting chapter. Then we got this chapter, which describes the divine and demoniac natures. So those who possess demoniac qualities and who live whimsically without following the regulations of scripture attain lower births and further material bondage. Those who possess divine qualities and regulated lives, abiding by scriptural authority, gradually attain spiritual perfection. In previous ages, the distinction between divine and demoniac people was very clear. So this is where Krishna describes the demoniac nature. And this is a really eye-opening chapter to read. If you're ever feeling proud of your achievements, have a read at this chapter. Krishna brings us back to earth, back to reality. Anyway, so in previous times, the demons and the demoniac lived at a distance from each other, either in different planets, different countries, even different bodies. But in modern times, the dividing line has disappeared to the extent that the divine and demoniac coexist within the same individual. So in Kali Yuga, the demon and the divine is in the same body. The themes of this chapter, Krishna describes the qualities of the saintly persons. He describes the weaknesses of the demoniac, systematically exposing attitudes and behaviors that destroy one's spirituality. It's a really powerful chapter to read. But he also explains how to escape, how to get out of this world and go to the supreme destination. Chapter 17 is the divisions of faith, according to the three modes of material nature. In the previous chapter, Krishna described two extremes, the divine, the demoniac. Day-to-day experience, however, reveals that we actually have many faces and are not necessarily one or the other. Life is generally not black or white, but usually different shades of gray. The faces we present on a daily basis reveal something about our faith, things we trust, believe, and place value upon. 17th chapter describes how a person's affliction to a particular mode will determine the type of faith they have. throughout this chapter, Krishna discusses all the themes with reference to the modes of nature. So what are the themes? Following scriptures allows us to transcend the three modes of material nature. The foods that categorize in three modes of material nature. So this is described. If you recall, those who are in mode of ignorance, they will be attached to foods which are decomposed. They are meat, fish, eggs fall into that category. What are the other aspects of foods in the mode of ignorance?
Mushrooms.
Yeah, but foods in a mode of passion, very hot, very spicy. Foods in a mode of goodness,
Passions.
onion, garlic is included in passion. And foods in mode of goodness are juicy, fatty. When Krishna says fatty, he doesn't mean bad cholesterol. So even the charity, even the different types of austerities can be in a mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. Ignorance is where you hurt yourself, you hurt the soul within you, the super soul as well. Passion is something you do austerity, you want something back in return. Goodness, you're doing the austerity out of a sense of duty. You know, when maybe somebody passes away in the family, you fast, like that. Different types of charity. If one does charity in the mode of goodness, you give to the right person, right place, right time. If you do charity in the mode of passion, you want something back in return. I'm giving you, but my name should be in blue lights or red lights in recognition. And in mode of ignorance, you do charity, which is going to be destructive to the person you're giving, because it might be some, you know, like you give some money to an alcoholic, and he goes to the wine shop and he buys more drink. Is considered to be food in charity in a mode of ignorance. And then he also describes the significance of Om Tat Sat. Final chapter, chapter 18, is one of the longest. It's about 70 plus verses in this chapter. It's the conclusion, and the name is The Perfection of Renunciation. It's the final summary of the Bhagavad Gita. After systematically outlining various spiritual truths, Krishna offers his Paramam Vacha. One should take up Bhakti Yoga. This is the theme more or less throughout the Gita, but now Krishna really drives it home. The most essential spiritual practice outlined in every chapter of this conversation, except the first. Thus, one is offered the opportunity of permanent happiness and fulfillment by the achievement of God or Krishna consciousness, considered the path of renunciation. In such consciousness, an individual can smile in the face of all situations and circumstances, confident that the smiling Krishna is his constant companion, eternal friend. This is actually the real secret of Bhagavad Gita. How Bhagavad Gita can teach us that even a challenging or a negative or an inauspicious situation is actually the mercy of the Lord. And the person who realizes this does not stop smiling, does not fall prey to depression or sadness, because he knows Krishna is my well-wisher. He's my only well-wisher. He won't do anything to me which is going to be against me. So that's really powerful, very powerful. The themes of this chapter: how to work in renunciation, what are the 5 causes of activity, a little technical, what are the 3 kinds of knowledge, action, and happiness according to the 3 modes. He also briefly goes into the Varnashram system, which we covered in one session. And then the final message Krishna gives. And Sarva Dharma Parityajya. Maybe some of you know this verse. Just surrender unto me, give up all types of religion, and I will protect you. Do not fear. And then he explains that one who gives this message to the devotees is very dear to him. And then he says, Yaidim Paramam Guhyam, he says, this supreme secret is so revealed to the devotees. That person is very dear to him. And then in the next verse, he says, there is no servant more dear to me than this. So it's such a powerful, powerful chapter. The spreading of Sanatan Dharma, the Bhagavad Gita's teachings, is very important. Of course, to spread it, you need to understand it a little bit, and then one can spread it as well. Of course, one can easily give a book to anybody. So try to do that maybe at least once in your life. Buy a Gita and give it as a gift to somebody. But if you can do that on a regular basis, the Lord becomes very pleased. So it's 1:30. I wanted to stop there and take any questions or any comments that you may have. Oh yes, Ishwari Kishwari.
We only have 4 questions.
Okay.
How long did it take for the Lord to convey the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna?
That's a good question. Now he actually sang it, and because it's Gita, Bhagavad Gita. Gita means song of God. And the estimated time was something like 40 minutes, wasn't it? 40 minutes, which is amazing because it takes us like a couple of hours minimum to recite the whole Gita.
Wow.
But he sang it. So he sang it quick.
Wow. Why of all trees is the Lord the banyan tree? Is there something special about it?
Yeah, banyan trees. Oh, there's one banyan tree in south of Bharat, south of India, which is like, I think it's about 4 or 5 acres. It goes over miles. The width. It's huge. You never see the beginning. You can't see the end. You know, it's just absolutely humongous. That's why I think he's the banyan tree, because it's the king of trees, you know.
And it also demonstrates the roots coming down. So the upside down aspect, like, you know, the material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. So if you look at the banyan tree, it seems as if the roots are coming from the top going down.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, good. Because he describes that in the 15th chapter about the banyan tree. Let me just see if I can share something.
Why does the Lord reside in November, December?
That was a good reason. Margashirsha. Good question.
That is, I think it's related to the month of Kartik as well. So it's Radharani's month, but he is present in all the months, but that is his favorite because it's Radharani's month, I think.
Somebody else did ask me and I did find an answer for that. But yeah, I think yes, right. It's not Kartik itself though, it's November, December. Yeah, it's November, December.
Right, okay.
It's November, December. Margashirsha.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I'm thinking of wrong.
Yeah, we'll come back to you on that one. I do remember being asked, and I do remember answering it, but I can't remember what the answer was now. But this is like the banyan tree. This is like a 200-year-old banyan tree in Goa. But there's another one in South Bharat which extends like miles, you know, the width of it.
Wow. Why do people claim to be God?
Good question. In Bharat, every street corner, there's an incarnation of God. The desire to be worshipped.
To be the controller.
To be the controller. To be the boss. Ultimately, that's why we're here. For some reason, we became a little envious of Krishna. And we thought, wouldn't it be nice to be the controller? So here we can become controllers, but it's in a very small way. And every time we try to control, we get defeated. That's why this world is perfectly imperfect. It's a lesson for us to learn. But it's effectively the desire to control others, to want to be appreciated. With nothing wrong in that. Wanting to be worshipped, that's something wrong in there. That's a no-no. I should be worshipped. Hiranyakashipu had that mentality, you know. Prahlad, everybody's worshiping, even the demigods are worshipping me. Why are you, a 5-year-old kid, not worshipping me? And he was highly intelligent personality, but yet he fell foul to his false ego. It's a product of the false ego, that I am the best, and everybody should recognize I am the best.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Is that it?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your questions. Anybody else? Any questions? Your questions are always very, very good, by the way. So really appreciate. And I miss you when you're not here. Pari, anything from you?
Prabhuji, it's not exactly a question related to the Gita, but in other like sort of Abrahamic religions, it's like they know how the world started, like they have a clear idea, like it was Adam and Eve, they took the apple, this and that, right? How was how did we come to terms with how world started in our religion?
Yes, it's a very interesting question. Ultimately, we are the cause of the creation because we had a desire to be separate from Krishna. So Krishna fulfills that desire. So although we are the ultimate cause because of that small desire, we got nothing to do with the creation. Because Krishna, what he does, he expands as one of the Vishnus, called Karnadaksha Vishnu, Mahavishnu. And when he breathes out, from his body, we come out. The universes come out. And the source of all of that is our original desire to be separate from Krishna. So that is like the Adam and Eve from our point of view. And then after the universes come out of Vishnu's body, Vishnu again enters into every universe, and from him sprouts Lord Brahma, from his lotus, the lotus flower, his navel, lotus flower, sprouts Lord Brahma. And then Brahma becomes the secondary creator. So there's many, like we are one of the creators, if you like, or one of the reasons of the creation, but then Vishnu is the source, and then Brahma is given the power to create the substance of this material world. Does that sort of answer it? Or?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that question.
Should I put the code on?
Yes, go for it. Let's do the quiz.
All right.
And next week we're going to try to look at the devatas, the wonderful devotees of the Lord. I'm hoping I'll get that sorted by next Sunday, and then the following Sunday will be the last one. So we might continue with the devatas if we don't finish. And then the Sunday after, we were thinking of starting the Bhagavad Gita sessions, unless devotees want a break for 1 or 2 Sundays. If anybody wants a break, let us know. So we want to go into, quiz.com, and the code is 932288. Okay, some devotees already in there. My goodness, you're so fast, huh? 932288. And again, I'd like to thank Pari for sparing wonderful time for putting together a quiz. It's very, very good, very important. Very nice. Okay, November, December is regarded to be a little bit like a springy air time. It's not too hot, not too cold in Bharat.
No.
That's one of the
That's
things.
February.
Yeah, I know that's spring, but this November, December is also when it's
Autumn.
not too hot. Yes, autumn.
Not
It's
spring.
autumn. Yeah, autumn. That's right. It's autumn. So that's one of the reasons why it's dear to the Lord, because the hot season is gone and the autumn season kicks in. In fact, there's a whole chapter in Krishna book just describing this Margashirsha, the autumn, the November, December, where it's so beautiful. After the heat of the summer, the rains come and
Leaves are changing color.
Grass becomes very lush. The flowers spring out. So that's one of the reasons why that's him. That's his favorite months, November, December. Okay, everybody on? Go for it, Pari.
Okay, I think everyone's on. I'm gonna start it then.
Thank you.
The divine scripture of the Mahabharata was written by Sanjaya, Krishna, Srila Vyasadeva, or Arjuna. Five seconds. So the majority got it right. It was Srila Vyasadeva. Who speaks the first verse in the first chapter? Dhritarashtra, Sanjaya, Krishna, or Arjuna? So this is quite a mix, but it was actually Dhritarashtra. Why did Arjuna not want to fight? This has two answers, I believe. He was overwhelmed with grief, he was overwhelmed with compassion, he knew he would win, or he wanted to seem humble. Yep, so fairly right. It was the first two. He was overwhelmed with grief and compassion. What conclusion does Arjuna come to at the end of chapter 1? We are a soul, not a body. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He came to the conclusion that he would fight, or he will not fight, and he set aside his bow. Okay, so this one was a bit of a mix, but it was actually the last one. The soul and body one comes a bit later on. In chapter 2, the Lord explains the procedure of bhakti, that we are the body, not the soul, the divine and demonic qualities, or karma yoga. So chapter 2 is Sankhya Yoga. What does he explain? The correct answer is the second one. Karma yoga is... Okay, wait, I won't tell you just in case there's a question on it. Dash karma yoga is when we surrender the fruit of our result to the Lord. So a hint is that it starts with the word starts with the letter N. $15 seconds. 5 seconds. Okay, so I think everyone who sent it said Nishkama Karma Yoga, which is correct. So well done. Karma means good action. True or false? Two, one. The correct answer is actually true. Vikarma means the best action. True or false? Vikarma. $10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. It actually means forbidden action, so therefore the answer was false. Akarma means inaction. True or false? It is in fact true. Why was the chain of succession, or the science of yoga, spoken again to Arjuna in the battlefield? This has one answer. Everyone had forgotten it to make everyone more religious. Arjuna was special, or was it for the re-establishment of Dharma? The last answer, which got the majority choices, is correct. Worshipping a demigod means, this one has 2 answers. The fruit is limited and temporary. The fruit will not always be the best for you. You will be liberated, or you will always be happy and healthy. $10 seconds. 'The first 2 answers were correct. What are the 4 unavoidable predicaments? Birth, disease, old age, and dash. the four unavoidable predicaments? Yeah, I can see most of us have got it right. Death was, in fact, the correct answer. Those who remember God at death are born in a religious family, reach the kingdom of God, receive good karma in their next birth, or are born in a rich family. 15 seconds. Yep, so once you remember God, you, at death especially, you go directly to Him. In chapter 9, Krishna speaks about the best yoga that can be used to attain Him. Which yoga is this? Ashtanga yoga, Karma yoga, Bhakti yoga, or Jnana yoga? Ooh, mixed answers again. But Bhakti yoga is the correct answer. One last question. The Lord is conquered by one who wants to attain all knowledge, wealth, and fame, who wants to achieve their goals, who wants to do good in the world, or simply wants to serve and love Him. The last option was correct. One who simply wants to love and serve Him.
Brilliant. Well done.
So, in that place we have Kishori, second we have Lokeshwar, and first we have Smita Mataji.
Whoa, well done, Smita. Thank you so much.
Exit. Okay, I'll
Well
exit.
done. Well done. You get the top prize. Fantastic. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Lena, for a wonderful darshan. Always have a beautiful darshan of magnificent deities. This is really unique because Krishna's got his arm around Radha, and Radha has also got her hand on his flute. Very unusual.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Oh, Ishwari, did you have a question?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, go for it.
So I was speaking to one of my friends and I was asking him, because he doesn't believe in any religion.
Yeah.
And I was asking him, like, why don't you believe in any religion? And he told me that, like, he asks different religions the same question, none of them can answer. And it's always the same answer, but he wants a proper answer. And his question is, like, who made God? Like, where does God come from? And he said, if someone can answer me that question with not, he's always been there.
Always been there.
Yeah, maybe he could actually worship that religion because it actually has to him a sensible answer. So
Yeah.
how would I answer a question like that if somebody asked me?
Yeah, very common question. And many children actually ask that question. The thing is, in this world, we're used to a beginning, a middle, and an end. But in the spiritual world, time works in a different way. Here, time works to destroy everything. So we have, we are born, we stay for some time, we multiply, we dwindle, and then we die. But in the spiritual world, time operates in a different format. Time doesn't operate to destroy, time operates to serve. So there, past, present, and future are not in existence. Time is sort of, is there in a capacity to make the Lord enjoy even more of the Leelas that he's doing. So this concept of time we have here is different from the spiritual realm. The Lord is from the spiritual realm, and he, as he absolutely said, the answer he's always got, and it's going to be the same answer. He's always been in existence. There's never been a time when he's not existed, because time in the spiritual world has a different concept. In this material world, we are used to this limited concept of time, where we have to see a beginning, has to have some existence of something. But God has no existence because he comes from a different realm. The time in the spiritual realm is differently defined. So that's the reason why God has always existed. And we'll never understand that. That's one of the inconceivable nature of God. We'll never understand this because we have this attachment to this world, this body, where there's always a beginning, middle, and end. But that doesn't exist in the spiritual realm. And until we get knowledge and understanding and realization of that spiritual realm, we'll always doubt this. So that is why we always say that you have to have this little commodity called faith. And that commodity is very important because even a little faith can grow. You can multiply that faith and eventually realize that actually, yes, God's nature is inconceivable. I will never understand it from my limited material point of view. So that's the answer we give.
Okay, I'll try and tell him that in a less complicated way.
Sorry.
I'll try and break it down so he can understand without having to have as much spiritual understanding.
Yeah. This different conception of time in the spiritual world, where time serves rather than destroys. But it is a tough concept to understand. It is a tough one, I have to say. Riha and Akasha?
Could we just ask Pari a question about the quiz, please?
Oh yeah, good.
Hi Pari. You know question 5 on the quiz. Do you know what the answer was?
Question 5. Sorry, let me check. Question 5 was the second option, and it was we are the body, not the soul. So in chapter 2, because it's Sankhya, Krishna is mainly trying to explain to Arjuna that, you know, that famous quote that there was never a time where we didn't exist, nor these kings, and he's talking about how we are a soul, mainly not a body.
But,
I think there's a typo, Pari.
Yeah, it says that we are the body, not the soul.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see. Okay, well, thank you for that. I'm going to go fix it quickly.
I just wanted to check. I was like, I'm confused.
I'm so sorry.
No,
It's okay.
she was just testing, and Riha and Akasha, you passed the test. Everybody passed the test. Everybody else failed, including me.
That's great then.
The Prabhuji is trying to save me there, but honestly, thank you for that. I'm going to go fix it right now.
No, it's all right. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
At least you know your stuff, though. Well done.
Well done. Thank you so much. You made it really entertaining. So thank you, Akasha.
No, thank you, Pari, for making the quiz, though.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Thank you.
So much, Ishwari Kishori. Thank you. Take
Hare
care.
Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.